Welcome back everyone to Zuma Fan. So I watched Charger's Christmas Adventure and it wasn't very good. Diving into the reasons why we have this story. The story is simple, with Charger and the pups having to save Santa Claus and the elves after being trapped by a blizzard. And this blizzard also caused a lot of the presents to scatter around the North Pole, and that's basically it. The story is simplistic and it's honestly the least disappointing thing about the episode, but even so, it is not good because it's not well executed. And there's a lot of off-screen stuff that happened in the story. So we have like Charger being here and we have no idea why. Rubble and Rocky are helping Santa Claus retile some of the roofs in the North Pole, and we never see Santa Claus contact the Paw Patrol at all. They are just here helping them out. So it is very confusing here. But again, the story is not as disappointing as its execution. And I also think that having Charger be the main character did not help this episode whatsoever. So in the first Christmas special that we had in season 1, there wasn't really a main character. It was all the Paw Patrol just helping Santa Claus out. And then in the second one that we got later on, it was Tracker who was the main character, and now they kind of continue with that, having just like one character be the center with Charger. And Charger, once again, just like the last time we saw him in the show, is just the most annoying, irritating character ever. He is not good enough to be a main lead, be a focus at all, and I have no idea why they keep bringing him into the show. I know it was just twice, but twice is too much screen time. I know it sounds weird, but this episode feels like it was written by Charger himself, because a lot of the events that happen, even though the story is very simple, a lot of the stuff that's happening is just happening out of nowhere and super quick, super fast, and it just keeps on happening one after the other. So a snowstorm hits and it covers up all the buildings, and then they have to deal with that. Then they have to deal with all the presents that's been scattered around instead of being in a building for some reason. Then they have to deal with the sleigh being gone. Then they have to deal with Mrs. Claus almost being covered with snow. Then they have to deal with the runway being covered by snow. And it's just like they keep throwing so many things on top of each other, one after the other, and you don't really get time to relax. I know in this segment it's only like 11 minutes long, but like there is no time to relax at all. This is why I prefer it to be a special, because you would have the full 30 minutes to do stuff with. But since this is split up into 2 segments this episode, and the Charger Christmas Adventure is only 1 segment, so it's 11 minutes, they kind of throw all these situations in there and there's no time to relax at all. So it really does feel like Charger himself, the one who's constantly getting the zoomies that he talks about so much, it really does feel like that version of Charger is writing this episode. Also, something didn't make that much sense, and that has to do with Rubble's rig, where we get his ultimate rig from those ultimate episodes. It shows up here, but this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because Rubble's rig is actually back at the North Pole, and the Air Patroller is called in to pick up the ultimate rig and fly it over to the North Pole to help out. But if Rubble's rig isn't there, then how on earth is the ultimate rig here? Because as we all know, the bigger rig, the ultimate one, is built over the smaller one. Not only that, but in the background you can see that Rubble's rig is there, even though, as we know, during all this, Rubble's rig is at the North Pole helping out Santa Claus. So this is something that absolutely confused me, and there is no explanation or answer to this. Another thing has to do with Santa Claus's sleigh, which they do end up finding later on after it disappears. They find it in the woods and is just frozen over in this giant icicle. And it makes absolutely no sense, because ice is just frozen water. So unless the sleigh was somehow sweating the entire time, I have no idea how on earth it got covered like this. And you see this a lot in like cartoons when people fall into the water when it's really cold, they come out as like an ice cube. But right here, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because there's no ocean anywhere. It's on flat ground or it's next to a rock and it's just frozen over this giant block of ice. One of the most annoying things besides Charger has to be this song. Now, of course, the Paw Patrol, along with some of the townsfolk, are singing this song throughout the episode.
We hope you have a Merry Christmas.
The song, "We Hope You Have a Merry Christmas," is honestly annoying and is not at all as good as the songs that we've seen in the previous specials. The first episode took a Christmas song that is well known and we all love, and it made it its own thing, and it was pretty clever, to be honest. And we had one in the second Christmas special. While not as memorable, was still good. But in this episode, the song that they sing is not good at all. It's really not enjoyable. And the autotune, you can really hear it. Every single character that sings sounds almost like a robot in a way, which makes the song just really difficult to get through, and it's so noticeable and irritating.
You can feel it everywhere. Sounds of laughter in the air. We hope you have a Merry Christmas.
I was also fine with the animation, but something about it felt off. It wasn't as colorful or as vibrant as we've seen in the previous two episodes, which I praised many times. I really do love the way that the first and the second Christmas specials that we've seen in the show, I like the way that all the Christmas stuff looked. It was very nice, bright, vibrant. And here, even though we have all the colors that you would assume would be nice and vibrant and colorful, just don't pop or show off like we've seen previously. It's shinier, but at the exact same time, it's darker. But I should list some positives, and I would put the animation on there. Even though I did just complain like 2 seconds ago about it, it still looks really nice. I do like the way that the characters look. The world looks really nice. I like how shiny everything is and the details as well. I just didn't like the fact that it was darker and not as vibrant as before, but even so, it still looked very good. I do like the fact that Evers was used. She was not as annoying as I usually find her. She doesn't really have that big of a role in this episode, and honestly, you could cut her out and not much will change. But for the people who do like Everest, it is nice to see her there, and I'm okay with it. I also did like all the decorations both on the tower and town hall, and I always did really like the way the North Pole was designed as well. So I did like all of that. But everything else was extremely disappointing. The story was simple, which doesn't make it that bad, but it's the execution of it and just constantly throwing things at you over and over and over again, never getting time to breathe or relax, just really brought it down. The fact that Charger is the main character in this episode that is focused on, even naming the episode after him, is just absurd. This character is absolutely irritating. The fact that he is constantly saying the zoom zoomies throughout this episode more than he ever has in anything else that I've seen him in is just honestly is so annoying, and he's honestly topping characters like Marshall for the annoying scale here. Along with things not making sense, characters making poor decisions, and just so much being stupid and ridiculous, people noticing things before just doing another thing. It seems so weird. I didn't really enjoy this episode. Not much made sense. And I feel disappointed because even though I trashed on the second Christmas special for the Paw Patrol, even that had some of that Christmas spirit in there. I'm sorry, everyone. This really did disappoint me. But I want to hear what you guys think about this Christmas special. Please let me know down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.